All right, here's the part 2 for the water meth injection kit on the Focus RS. A couple things I couldn't get tidied up was the indicator light, which I found a really good spot for, and it looks really clean and it's super easy to see, and also the power source. So I originally wired it straight off my battery to a switch. We weren't quite thinking far enough ahead, and I didn't have a chance to test it really good, but I left for a week. Came back and my battery was dead, so I had to get a new battery, and at the same time, I had a ABS light come on, traction light come on, hill start assist wouldn't turn on, and I couldn't change my drive mode selections. So I thought the dead battery is what caused it, but it was actually what I isolated to be a rear right wheel speed sensor, which will trip your ABS system, which makes all those other errors come up. But I ended up bringing it to the dealership because replacing the sensor didn't fix it. It went off for like a day or two. I thought the problem was good and the lights all came back on, so I brought it to the dealer, found one I actually trust through some local guys in the group here, and it ended up being a wire harness for that ABS sensor. So I was in the right spot, but I couldn't find the frayed wire. I didn't have time to pull it all apart. But yeah, it all stemmed from that battery dying and throwing me completely off track. I thought I had a battery or a power issue, but that wasn't actually it. So I'll show you that indicator and power source right here. What I did was I wired in the indicator, or I tapped out a little hole for that, or drilled it out rather. So this whole thing pops right up, which is just a few clips. This little instrument panel up here. And I actually found out you can take the wiring for the LED stuff and you can loom it right through there. So I'm gonna run that all under my glove box through the floor with the rest of the meth kit wiring stuff. And that'll give me a good spot for my indicator. I'll shut that off. So I'll show you what I did. Saw another guy who ran this for his meth kit, but I actually put the indicator right in here. So I just used a little drill bit very carefully, one size up, slowly but surely, and it fits right in there and tucks in really nicely. Like, I just went slow with the install. So I killed my battery because I wired straight out of the off the battery, and I figured the switch would cut the power off, but I was wrong. So I went with the, I believe it's the third fuse up right here, which is the heated steering wheel fuse on the Focus RS. There's a few other options that I was reading about. One was like the front row cigarette lighter, like second power bank or something like that, which is in the owner's manual. But this is a little one I decided to use here, and it's worked out great so far. And I just did a little mini add a fuse, like $10 from O'Reilly's, and that gave me the power source I need. Alright, so cleaning up the install here, you can see it just turns right on up there. Beautiful. Alright guys, quick follow-up with trying to figure out the traction control issues and everything, or the ABS light, which I believe is leading to the rest of my problems. Going over to ForScan here, and I managed to find out that there is a C003A code, right rear wheel speed sensor, so I'm going to replace that tomorrow, and hopefully that gets it fixed. There's a couple other codes in here, but I think they're mostly running off the fact that that rear speed sensor isn't working. So a little bit tricky, but I downloaded the newest version of ForScan. Yeah, I know it sounds funny. And then I got a little OBD2 plugin off Amazon for I think like $25-30, and it allowed me to actually go in here and pull some codes that I couldn't read with an O'Reilly's scanner. I could make a more detailed video of ForScan if anyone requested or wants it. Alright, so I wanted to do a quick video here. If you hold the OK button on the Focus RS for 5 seconds, let's see if I can put this right here, and then you hit the start button while you're holding it, it will put you into test mode. So it took about 10 seconds holding it. So from test mode here, there's a few things you can do that I thought were pretty handy. I was actually throwing some engine codes, and I couldn't read them with a regular code reader. So I'm not sure what everything means, but I'm going to just toggle through real quick. And you can actually have the car started once you have this in test mode. I just hit the ignition key. I didn't actually start the car, but I just hit the stop-start button while I was holding the OK button on the steering wheel here. But you can see distance to empty, battery, voltage. So this will change when I start the car, obviously. But just to give you a little bit of a display on that, that's kind of a cool way to check your battery if you're in a pinch. Engine temp, I guess. All of this seems to be metric. Some fuel for flow, odometer, It's not right. I think that's in kilometers. Let's see what else. There's some other cool stuff you can do. So these are the engine or the codes I'm currently throwing. So there's a few of them, and it's all buses that aren't talking to each other, and I haven't figured out exactly what that is yet, but it's kind of food for thought. So that's engine codes basically. And instead of thinking it as C200, think of it as C or uniform. So UO121, UO200, UO151, and likewise. And that's how I was actually able to look up what codes meant what. You can keep going through a bunch of nonsense I don't really care about. Chime test. So it'll actually go through all the different chimes the car makes. You can do an LED test, see if you have any LEDs burnt out, which I thought was kind of cool. The little information light down there even changes colors, which is kind of cool. And then you can go, it'll test your screen for you. Blue, green, red, gauge sweep. It's kind of cool little feature there. Something that makes your gauge, I don't know what all this stuff is again. And then to get out, all I did was just shut the car off, give it a restart, and you are out of test mode. So yeah, it's kind of nifty there. Just a cool little way to get into test mode. I believe it works on the Focus ST as well. But so here we are doing the right rear wheel speed sensor, ABS rear wheel speed sensor. I got the plug out right here. It is really dirty, so that could definitely be why I'm having problems. So instead of just cleaning it all off, I'm going to, I popped this out, so this piece goes right in here. Plug pulls right out of the top, and the clip was facing me, so it's plugged in like that, and you just gotta pop this little clip right here with your thumb. I actually used a little flathead to push on it while I pulled up, and it came popping right up and out. And then there's one T25 little screw right there. You can see the little hole for it, and then that blue plug. This is what we're trying to pull out, and it's pretty seized in there right now. So we're gonna try using some pliers to pull that out without hopefully damaging it too much. But we're just gonna swap it out. That's disgustingly dirty, so I'd like to pull it out and clean that surface off a little bit, make sure nothing falls in the hole it comes out of, and then put the new sensor in, and we should be good. And I just worked it left to right like this. Just kind of give it a little sway, not too hard, and then it popped right up and out. And we did mess it up a little bit trying to pull it out, but looks pretty good. And then if you look down in this hole, there's a little bit of rusty, dusty stuff on there. So I'm gonna try to clean that off and put in the new sensor. That might be what's tripping it up, is just that little bit of dirt down in there. Kind of hard to get it to focus. For the sake of doing some preventative maintenance here, I got a little bit of electronic cleaner. I really sprayed out the inside of this plug really good. It's quick dry, so I'm just gonna let that dry off all the way. And then I put a little bit of dielectric grease in there. You can see I just kind of goobed it on the prongs a little bit. Sorry for the camera here. You can see that. And then I'm gonna put a little bit in the plug here as well. Nothing fancy, just a little bit of dielectric grease, just to you know, keep those from getting all gummed up and nasty, and it should make it easier when I pull the plug out later as well if I have to deal with this again. And then one precaution, again, sorry for the bad camera work here. One thing I also did is when I put that in, I wiggled it a bit to make sure the base was actually seated in all the way, and then I'm gonna put the screw in next. But yeah, just some good pointers for preventative maintenance. Make sure everything works. Make sure that plug gets seated all the way down in there, because I'm sure if it's not all the way in, it'll probably trip up that ABS sensor again.